I recently built this perfect starter island, and in this video I'm going to build the perfect cozy village with enough trades to last me a lifetime, all in Minecraft Hardcore. But we still need to find the perfect location for this new village. Now I don't want to go too far away from our island, but there's already a village over there, and I'm not really fancying the beach, so I guess that only leaves this side by the spawn forest. And we do have this big patch of water at the front here, which we could probably fill in with dirt and have that as our platform for the village. Yeah, you know what? I think that sounds good. So with the build location for the village finally decided, I grabbed a bunch of dirt from my storage room and crossed over the river to begin the build. Okay, yeah, I think this is a pretty good spot. So what I'm going to do is start putting some dirt in the water, and then we'll just get it connected to the other side over there, and that should give us our nice shape for the village area. So I had my plan and got to work filling in the platform, which did take a lot more dirt than I thought it was going to. But it was quite relaxing doing this, so I didn't really mind. And after not too much longer, that is now all filled in, and it's looking great. I really like this. And with the foundation now laid for my own village, it was time to visit my neighbours to kidnap some of the locals, because I wanted to create my own villager breeder to populate the village. Oh, hello, victim sighted. Alright, who wants to be first into the boat? Oh, looks like we got a volunteer. Alright, we're just going to very slowly go over this hill and make our way towards the lake. Almost there. And there we go, sorted. That went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to. Alright, so we finally got two guys over here, but we still need to make the actual breeder. Now, we don't need much space for this, so I think I'm just going to do it on this hilltop here. And it has literally been years since I built one of these things, but they are quite straightforward, so I don't think we're going to have any trouble. And that should just about do it. Then I finally moved them into the breeder, and with that all up and running, it was time to move on to the village construction. So what I want to do is just dot a load of villager houses around this open field here. I don't really have any order that I wish to put them in, but I do think we should at least go as far as the villager breeder here, and maybe all the way back to that grass there, maybe even a little bit further. So what I'm going to do is just start over here, kind of by the villager breeder, and we're just going to start place some blocks down, just in the form of rectangles for now, and then that can serve as the base foundations for each home, and we can then build on it later. And there we go, that is not looking too bad. We've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses. I think that should be enough. I've made sure to leave plenty of room in the middle so we can make like a little town square. And this one over here, you're probably thinking, well, why have I done half of it with sand and half of it with white wool? Well, that's because I ran out of white wool. But sand will do. It's going to be a temporary thing only, and we'll be deleting all of those blocks at some point anywhere. And I decided not to mark this out, but what we can do at the end is just wrap a nice wooden wall all the way around the builds here. We can tuck it in nice and tight on the edge of the water here, and probably add a dock area, you know, just like a nice stone platform coming out from the grass here. I think that'll look really nice. So that's the plan. These are going to be the houses. We're going to have a big wall around it, a nice town square with some crops, and even a nice dock area out the front. So I finally had a solid plan, but I didn't have any tools to make it possible. Therefore, it was time to head over to an enchanting station that I built between episodes and get the tools that we needed. But what I'm going to do is grab the lapis and the diamonds. We're then going to enter our brand new enchanting room, and I think this thing looks lovely. I really like it. Although it could probably do with some carpet, but I'll get to that later. Now you may have already noticed that we do have one diamond pick, but I do want another, and that's because I want one to be silk touch and I want the other to be fortune 3. Then what I think we'll do is craft one diamond axe, and I think a diamond shovel is probably going to come in handy too. Okay, now it's time for the moment of truth. Now as I said, I am hoping for silk touch and fortune, but unbreaking 3 is a pretty good start, so let's hope that's got some extra ones on there. Alrighty, what we got? Just unbreaking 3. Alright. Well, you know what? That is why I brought this little guy. So I'll pop him in there, disenchant that, and then we'll roll it again. Back in a minute. Now that took a little bit longer than I expected, but we did get some good tools out of it. So let's have a look. For pick number 1, I've got a silk touch and efficiency 4. On the second one, we got fortune 2, efficiency 4, and unbreaking 3. Then I've got a diamond shovel with silk touch, efficiency 4, and unbreaking 3. And finally an axe with fortune 3, efficiency 4, and unbreaking 3. But now that we've got some decent tools, we can do pretty much anything that we want. Now I don't know about you, but this whole area seems pretty flat to me, and I think if we just build everything the way it's currently laid out, we're going to be left with something that looks a little bit boring. So what I have decided to do is build a hill, a nice big hill at the end here, which I'll be able to place both buildings on top of, and I think it will just split the village up nicely. But hills don't build themselves, and it is going to take a lot of materials. So with my newly acquired tools, I'm going to grab some tough cobblestone, as well as a bunch of other resources resources so we can get this thing built and get the village moving. And what I've done is place a big double chest down in the village over here, and we're just going to use this as our little project box. So everything that we build in the village will just go into this, and I mean, we'll probably need 2 or 3 more, but hey, this will do for now. And like I said, because I want both of these houses on top of the hill, we're going to start somewhere around about here. And what I want to do is just run a fairly random shape along the front here, just something like this. And of course, we will come back around and tidy it up afterwards. And what I've done is left a little gap in the middle, which we can eventually use for some stairs. But the only problem I'm kind of having here is I don't really know what to do on the edges here. I don't know if we should wrap it around or if we should keep going. And I think part of the problem is I don't really know where the end of the village is going to be. Like, we will eventually put a wall around the back here, but right now I don't really know where that's going to go. So what I'm going to do is just build up a few layers of the wall, and then we can get a nice grass platform on the top. And I feel like once we've got the platform on there, it'll be a lot easier to know where the wall's going to go, and then that'll probably help us figure out where the sides are going to go. And okay, this is actually starting to look pretty cool now. So I've got it all filled in, and I think just this shape around the back here is where we're going to put the main wall. And I did also bring up the house foundations to the top level here, but I think this is definitely going to make a huge difference to the village. We've now got 2 very distinct sections. You know, maybe we can put the rich villagers at the top. They can look down at all the peasants over there. I was super happy with this hill, but it was difficult to build without an outline around the village area. So I grabbed a bunch of logs from my storage and began construction on a much needed wall. Now I really hope I've got enough logs for this, because we need to cover the outside of this entire area in logs, and to be honest, the wall is going to go pretty tall at the back of that hill there, but we'll see how it turns out. And what I'm doing here is just skipping 1 block each time, so then I can just fill in the gaps with oak logs and we'll get them all stripped. Alright, so I got the first layer in, and already I am having such an easier time visualizing where everything is going to go. We really should have done this first before the hill. This was definitely a bad move, but hey, you know, that is just the way it goes sometimes. You don't always do everything perfectly the first try. So yeah, the next stage is to bring these up to the height that I want them at, and of course we need to get them all stripped as well. But I think this will make quite a nice time lapse, so I'll see you in a minute. And oh my days, this makes such a massive difference. Yeah, I have no idea why I didn't do this first, but I am so happy with it. We do have one little problem though. The villager breeder is kind of right in the middle of where I wanted to wrap it around. So I think towards the end of the episode, we're just going to delete this, or we could move it. But I tell you what, while that we're over here, why don't we check to see if there's any villagers? Now, I haven't actually made a proper way down yet. It's kind of just a hole in the ground. But if I just drop down, I'm not quite sure how we're going to get these guys out of here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be an absolute nightmare. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Alright, see you later guys. I will be back later. But nice to see that that thing's working. And going back to the wall, I have left a hole over here. And I think this would kind of be the perfect place for an entrance. But I think we've kind of used enough wood here, so why don't we build it out of something different? Alright, so I have just crafted some materials, and I've also had to make a second project box because this one is already full. I feel like that's going to get way worse as the episode goes on. Now, I really don't plan on making anything too big for this. You know, we want to keep it small, rustic and cozy. So I think what I'm going to do is just go up by 3. No, maybe 4 actually. Yeah, that's a bit better. So there we go. We got a nice little stone foundation. And then I think what I want to do is try and create like a little archway here. And then in the middle here, how about we just add some slabs, and then we can fill these little corner gaps in with more trapdoors. And then right on the top, let's just finish it off with a stone brick wall and a spruce fence. And there we go. Like I said, nothing too extravagant. This is all intentionally the way it is, and I think it fits. And with the walls coming along very nicely, it was finally time to visit a mangrove swamp on our horse to gather some mud for the village paths. But before we do that, I asked you all last episode to name my horse, and after so many amazing suggestions, I've decided that the winner was Chestnut. So I've just come over to the fishing dock here to grab ourselves one of our name tags that we fished up earlier. And if we just pop back over to the house, I have smelted up all of the iron that we've got, which is a grand total of 46. And there we go, our very first anvil. I'm not quite sure where to put this thing, but I feel like it should belong in this room, so how about we just dump it here? That'll do. Alright, let's get this name tag in here. And Chestnut. And well done, Chestnut, you finally have a name. So, thank you to everybody for all of your suggestions. But now that that's sorted, me and Chestnut hit the road and before long found the mangrove swamp that we were looking for. Alright, looks like we got plenty of mud, which is exactly what we came for. And I tell you what, one of the best things about coming to a swamp biome is literally for the flowers. I love these ones. So I'm just going to grab as many of these as we can while we're here. Alright, that is enough flower picking for now, so why don't we do what we actually came here to do and grab all of this mud mud. And just like the flowers, since we're not going to be here for a while, I may as well just grab as much as I can possibly carry. We are going to need a fair amount of this if we're to path the whole village with it. Well, this mangrove forest was beautiful, but I've kind of decimated it now. I've got water running weirdly all over the place. We've got trees half cut down. But on the positive side, we have more than enough mud. I did also grab some propagules so that we can grow mangrove back at home. But let's get Chestnut out of the hole and head home. Alright, we finally made it back, although with our good friend Chestnut, it didn't really take too long. So I want to turn all of this mud into packed mud. Okay, I guess that's not how you do it. Wait, what? How do you make this stuff? Packed mud. Wheat. Alright, fair enough. I guess it's back over to the island we go. But if there is one thing we are not short on in this world, it is definitely wheat. I'll just get as much as I possibly can here. And that leaves us with quite a lot of mud left over. Right, so I pretty much want this entire ground level to be made out of mud and mud bricks. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is by removing this entire top layer. Time for a time lapse. Now, I've got to be honest, I really thought this was going to be a quick job. But I had to pause my recording 3 times just to run back to the mangrove swamp to collect more mud. But of course we got finished eventually, and I even added some extra details. I think this already makes it just feel a lot more lived in, you know, like dirt that's been trampled over a million different times by people. Only the people aren't here yet, but they will be soon. But yeah, apart from the mud floor, I have separated another tier of the village over here. We did already have the outlines for these builds down initially, but I've just moved them to the correct level, and this is how it will all look once it's finished. Now over here, I kind of had this idea when I was digging everything out to mark in the farms first. So at some point we will get crops into each square segment here. As you've also probably noticed, I did put flowers everywhere. Now I'm using a texture pack that makes these flowers clustered, and I think it just makes for a really nice effect. So I've kind of just dotted them all over the place, and I think it brings a nice bit of life to the area. And you're probably wondering, what the heck are these white squares in the middle here? Well, I thought we could do some market stalls in the middle. There won't be anything complicated, but I just wanted to mark them out in advance so nothing gets in the way before building. And finally, I've just added some stairs up here, and I've left this all grass for now. Oh, and actually, one last thing, I did just put a little bit of texture into the wall, and I'm really starting to feel the vibe of this place. I think it's going to feel amazing once we get all the buildings in. And to be honest, I think now would be the perfect time to do that. So what I've done is lay out a nice block palette here, because I want to make sure that all the buildings in this village have a similar type of theme. You know, we don't want things looking completely mismatched. That would be a bit weird. But we also want to keep a nice bit of variety in there, and I think all of these blocks should do that with no problem. And so the village space was officially prepared, but I still needed to get started on some structures. So I took a quick trip down to the sheep pen as well as the mines, where I grabbed everything that I needed, and it was finally time to start building. Alright, so I finally have a box full of goodies. I innocently thought I could just put one little project box down and that would be the end of it, but no. We've now got 4 double chests. We will have to move them at some point though, because they're right in the way of one of the farms. But that is enough yapping, so I'm going to grab some resources and we're going to get started on our very first villager house. So if we just come to the top of the hill here, I really want to do this one. I don't know why, I guess it's just got kind of a cool outline. You know, we're going to put a tower here, we're going to have a little nice lean-to on the right, and I think it's just quite a cozy size to start with. So looking at our little palette down there, I think we should start the foundation with stone. So I'm just going to replace the corners with stone, so that way we don't lose the general shape. But now that our corners are in, we can safely remove the wool and line the sides with stone. And for this tower section, I actually like how the stone looks against the wool. So if we look at blocks a similar color to the wool, we have diorite and we have calcite. So I'm going to remove this little outline and we can replace it with calcite, and that can be our main block of the tower. Typically when building structures like a house, I tend to like the foundation to be 4 blocks tall. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm just going to go around and randomly put some texture in, and then we'll have a look to see if that looks any good. Okay, yeah, so what I've done is go with the usual 4 on this side, but then for the little side part, I thought we would change it up just a little bit and do 3 instead. I think that'll look quite cool once we've got the second floor on there. But yeah, anyway, this is going to be the base of the second floor, and we are going to do the same on this side as well. But before we do that, my inventory is an absolute mess already, so I'm going to create another project box for this individual project. Now we've got project boxes inside of project boxes. It never ends. Let me just dump all this stuff in here, and that is so much better already. And it is officially time for my favorite part of every single build, barrels. It's barrel time. I'm just going to go ahead and place one on the edge of every corner like this, and we should be left with quite a nice shape. And if we just pop into free cam here, you can see this is actually coming along really nice. Now for the roof, I want to make sure we have a nice little curve. So for the top block, I'm going to start with a slab. then we can come over with a plank. But instead of doing a second plank, what we'll do is add a stair. Then we can just come up by one block, and I believe this is the center point. So let's add another 2 on top of here. And you know what? That is looking really cool. But I think you get the idea now. So why don't we finish it off with a nice little montage? And I am really happy with this. It actually turned out a little bit bigger than I thought it would, but let's take a closer look. This is the inside. Now, I know you were probably expecting some nice flashy interior, but I've had to kind of keep this one empty. And the reason why is because it's not just going to be the home of one villager. We're going to have multiple in here, so we need plenty of room. But once we got the villagers in, I will probably decorate a little bit, but I just want to make sure that we've got enough space for, you know, the important bit first. Then if we come upstairs, I've kind of done the same thing. I've left it all kind of open so that if we want any extra ones up here, it should be nice and easy to move them in. So the first house was finally built, but it still doesn't have any residents. So I crafted some rails and began moving villagers from the villager pit into their new home. Right, now we need to do this in a way that they don't all just come running out as soon as I do it. So let's just section off this part first. Then let's just make a little staircase shape out. And then what we'll do is replace this middle block here with a block of redstone, and running some powered rails over it like that should be good. Right, we're going to carry the rails through this way, then we can place another powered rail on there, and I believe if we put a button here, I should do something. Right? I mean, I guess we'll find out. Look, I'm going to be honest, redstone is by far my weak point in this game. I'm not good at it whatsoever. Oh, it moves. Oh, bro. Okay. Right, well, it just sucked one out. Didn't expect that, but hey ho. Right, now hopefully I should be able to just do this. And yep, that was quick. Okay, that works. And let's just be honest here, the first trader has to be mending. So I'm just going to keep cycling this until we eventually get one. Hang on a second, hold that thought. What's the point in getting an expensive enchantment like mending if I don't even have enough emeralds to afford it? It makes no sense to make this first guy mending. What we should make this first guy is a stick trader. Like, look, we are surrounded by forest. Literal money trees. Alrighty, so oak planks, flint, fletching table. If we do that, oh, there we go, stick trades. Nice. Let's lock that guy in and done. All right, my friend, you have officially got a job. Now the next challenge is deciding exactly what the best path is going to be to get that guy from over there all the way to that house. With 27 bits of rail, I don't want to blow all of my iron on this. So I think we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. And what I mean by the old-fashioned way is we're going to push him. Then we're going to get him to the end and then pick the rails back up and do this over and over until we finally get him in our house. And there's the first villager in. You know what? That really was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I am going to get rid of the minecarts eventually, but until they're all in place, I'm just going to leave them in there. All right, let's get you some friends. And there we go. That took quite a while, but wasn't too stressful, so I don't mind. But anyway, we have 4 Fletchers in here right now. I think this will be enough for what I need, but like I said, if not, we've always got the upstairs as well. Some of them are a bit expensive at the minute because I did kill a villager, but that's what happens when you escape the pit. But eventually they'll cool off, the prices will go back down, and we now have unlimited money. But I'll be honest, I kind of want a little bit of a break from dealing with villagers, so I think I'm just going to do something a little bit more relaxing, like plant these crop fields out the front. So I suppose we best start by removing our big line of items here. Oh, and that means we're going to have to move the chest monster as well. I don't really know where I want to put it because I feel like I'm going to use up all of the land here. All right, look, don't judge me. I promise I will clean this up afterwards, but for now, I know this is really bad, okay? But please just don't judge me. I don't need to be judged right now. I need you all to be very nice. I'm actually really bad at organizing, but I'm trying my best. This can be our horrible little secret. Okay, so farms. Now, first things first, I want to get rid of this little path layer here. I kind of want to replace it with something a little bit more sturdy, and that is just about done. I really like stone bricks. They're kind of old school. All right, all the water is secured. I've even put some waterlogged leaves in there just to make sure that we don't fall down. But this land ain't going to hoe itself, so let's get to work. Okay, looking kind of rubbish because obviously it's empty, but it is done, which is, you know, the good thing. So I have come back over to the island again so we can grab as many crops at Chestnut? Chestnut? What are you doing in here? I must have forgot to tie this guy up. You don't belong with the cows. Come on, you got your own home. Alright, you stay there. But like I was saying, I have come back over to the home island just so I can grab some crops and take them back over to the village. But I did want to show you something. So I've installed a new mod where as long as I'm holding a seed, or a carrot in this example, and right click on a crop, it will harvest it and replant it at the same time. I absolutely love it. You know, we're still doing the work, but you know, it's just removing that little tedious part afterwards. And the second crop that we're going to plant in the village is wheat. And you may be asking, Why? When we've got so much of it here already, why not grow something like beetroot or netherwort or anything else? And the answer truly is just because I like the way that it looks. And I think that is as good of a reason as any to do things in Minecraft. Alright, let's get these bad boys planted. Now originally I was just going to have everything kind of flat like this, but when I looked at it from up here it just looked a little bit boring. So I figured we would dig up this outer layer on each farm, then we can just go around and replace it all with grass blocks instead. And then on this grass layer we can just go around and add a nice oak fence. It's definitely not much, but I do think it's going to make quite a lot of difference. So if we take another view from up here, yeah, see? I like that. I like that. All right, I'm going to get to work on the rest of the farms and I'll bring you back when it's done. And I would definitely consider that a job well done. I'm telling you, man, crop fields are just OP. It's such an easy thing to add to any build and it just makes so much difference. But yeah, these are going to take a little while to grow, but I'm sure that once they do, they're going to look amazing. But while I've been working down here, I keep looking at this empty space over here in this corner. I've been thinking of a few things that we can put in here, and to be honest, I think the best idea is a bee farm. I think first we should probably decide how many beehives we want. Now they're not going to take up much space. I do kind of want to fill the area in, so let's say we put one here, then we can leave a few gaps and probably copy that 2 more times like that, and that'll give us 9 beehives. I think that is more than enough. So I think I'm going to venture into this forest behind our village and see what I can find. And you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, this is probably going to take quite a long time. So I've got a better idea. Good afternoon, Chestnut. I'm afraid I can't be bothered to walk through a forest today, so you're gonna have to help me out. Oh, that is so much better. We are going to find beehives in no time. Hey, we got one. The only problem is I can't tell if they're inside. I mean, I can hear them, and I know that at nighttime they do return to their nests, so I guess we just wait a minute or two. Oh, okay. Yeah, so a guy just went in there. And believe it or not, I just spotted another one right there. How'd I miss that? Now, I'm not entirely sure if I need to put a campfire under this thing now, so I'm just going to do it anyway because we don't want angry bees when we get out. But let me know in the comments if I actually need to do this step. And then with our silk touch pickaxe, we're going to pick you up. And we're going to do the same with this one. Oh god, it's getting dark. Chestnut, where's that horse gone? I thought we were friends, he left me. Seriously, where is this horse? Oh god, we've got monsters spawning in. I'm literally running around in iron armor. I don't have a shield. Where is that horse? Oh, he's there. Chestnut, you absolute moron. Oh, actually, I had a bet on me the whole time. I guess I'm the moron. All right, that was a little embarrassing. All right, well, we've got 2 beehives anyway, or as they're actually called, bee nests. And I've got to be honest, I would like a few more, so I'm going to keep looking. Oh, and I've just found this lovely birch forest. Now, I'm pretty sure beehives are a bit more common in birch forest, right? Or they're at least easier to spot on the birch trees. Oh, and there's one there. Nice. Right, we've got the bees kind of just floating around. So yeah, I guess I'm going to wait until nighttime to let these guys return back to their hives. Then I think it would be good to take them back to the base and start breeding. And just before the sun goes down, look at the view from up here. Kind of crazy that we're living in a timeline where Minecraft looks this good. But the sun is fully down, so it's time to grab these beehives. And I think this is going to be the last one. So come on, Chestnut, let's go home and move on to the next step. And we are back. Okay, so as we have established, these are bee nests, and what we need are beehives. But we can't get beehives without honeycomb, so we're just going to put these down temporarily. We've got 4 in total, and we've got plenty of flowers around here too, so these guys should be happy enough to take the pollen back to the nest. Yeah, this guy's happy on the carrot farm, so that's good. And then what we'll do is just place the campfires underneath and then just surround this bottom bit with trapdoors. And there we go, that is looking quite cute. So because there are campfires under these things, I believe I am safe to just harvest the honeycomb like this. Now, how much does it cost to make a beehive? Wow, it costs 3. Okay, that's quite expensive, but that does work out quite nicely because that allows us to fill all of our squares in. And I'll just get a campfire under each one of these, and let's just finish these off with some trapdoors again. Oh, this is looking really cool. I love areas that just have a lot of movement. Kind of makes it feel alive, doesn't it? But anyway, I am currently surrounded by bees because I want to start breeding. The sooner we can get all these nests filled, the better. And let's just hope the villagers don't mind bees. Otherwise, they're not going to be too happy here. And speaking of finishing the village, this side is looking pretty cool now, and it kind of is a little bit unusual that we've still got this big rectangle of white wool amongst all of this finished stuff. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to get a structure in here, and I want to go with a nice horse stable. So let's cut to another montage, and I'll see you in a few seconds. And that is the horse stable just about complete. And I think it looks really cool. It kind of fits into this area supernaturally, which is exactly what I was going for. And again, we're just carrying over the rustic feel from the island and our house. And yeah, I think this is a really great addition. But for a horse stable, it sure is missing a lot of horses, isn't it? But just on the outside of the village there is where I actually found Chestnut for the first time. And I'm pretty sure at the time there was like 50 horses. So I'm going to have a venture over and see what we can find. Oh, there we go. We got one. Yoink, you're coming with me. Let's go. He's like, okay, I guess I don't have any choice in the matter. And currently I only have the one lead, so we're just doing one at a time. Come on, don't fall in. Oh. How are we even going to get you out? I guess I'll just grab some dirt blocks. All right, come on, before the villagers get out. Come on, just jump up, please. Nope, stay away. Get back in the hole. Oh, God. No. Get back in the hole. Oh, you know what? I don't want this horse anymore. We'll just get rid of this guy as well. Alright, sorry about wrecking your farm. There you go. Oh, well, that was absolute chaos. I'll get you a new friend shortly. We'll just bring one up from the pit. Well, that couldn't have gone any worse. Alright, well, we got another horse, so that's all that matters. And I think this time we will go around the villager breeder. Okay, we're going to put you in this side. And there we go. Home sweet home. Okay, I'm going to grab one more horse, and then we are done. Oh, there's a donkey. Should we do a donkey? Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. And there we go. Our horse/donkey stable is complete. And now that it's all done, why don't I give you a full tour? First of all, I'm really happy with the use of the hanging signs here. This is the first time I've ever put them into a build before, and I think it just looks really cool. And I've just finished off the interior as well. Now, of course, we don't have a lot of space to work with here, so we kind of just got some things on the shelves, a little lectern here so that when horses are taken from the stable, somebody can write it down. And yeah, just got some greenery dotted about with some workbenches, and I think that is pretty cool. And with our new horse stable, this side of the village was looking amazing. But there was this big blank space near this wall, so I decided to build a glowberry vineyard. But I don't have any glowberries, so me and Chestnut hit the road again in hopes to find a lush cave. Alright, well done, Chestnut. You have earned yourself a nice stay in a hole. Enjoy. And you know what? Come to think of it, while we're here, these flowering azalea leaves will be perfect for the village. Okay, now I believe if we just dig straight down carefully, we should be able to find a lush cave. Oh, moss. Could this be it? I mean, we've definitely come down far enough. Oh, yes, that's it. And if you've come this far into the video, first of all, thank you. But I want you all to prove it by writing bubblegum in the comments. Then I'll know who the real legends are. Oh, yikes. There's lava right beneath our feet. Okay, that could have went horribly wrong. Oh, but look at this. Glowberries, and a lot of them. You know what? I really do not like the look of that lava. Let's get some water down there. Suppose we may as well take a ride down. Okay, we are looking kind of safe. Don't mind this. Alright, well, at least there's no monsters around here. But look at this. This is beautiful. Now, I'm just checking the area out to make sure it's all safe before we start digging glowberries up. But we've kind of hit the jackpot here. So let's get rid of some of this lava. I doubt we'll come back down here so we can just knock all these things off the wall. And of course, while we're here, it will be silly not to grab a little bit of moss, and we can just grow this back at the base. Alright, I think I am quite happy to get out of this place now. Kind of terrified something's just going to pop out of nowhere and send us flying down a chasm. And that would not be very productive, would it? Alright, so we're back home and we've got the glowberries. Now, how exactly am I going to do this? I want to see if you can put glowberries on trapdoors. Oh, you can. That's so good. Okay. Well, that pretty much decides our farm design. All right, what I'm going to do is add a few more of these in, and hopefully this should look pretty good when it's done. Okay, I did not expect this to look this good, but it does. I changed a few things up because I feel like the spruce was just clashing with the wall too much here, and I found these really cool designs online by somebody called Dio Rods. So I popped a few of those down, and it has just completely transformed this area. It looks so nice. I added a few lilacs and flowers in the background too, and yeah, all in all, I am really happy with this. But I would say that is probably all done. And look at the view from up here. That is unreal. Now, quite clearly, this side has had a lot more love than this side. So I think we should work on getting one of these buildings up. And I kind of just had a thought. So let's just pretend that we are the villagers who are going to live here. We are pretty much confining them to a full vegetarian diet here, which, you know, nothing wrong with. But for those villagers who want to get a little bit more protein in, we should really have some type of farmhouse with an animal pen. And we do have this nice patch of grass here that, to be honest, I didn't really have any plans for. If anything, it was just going to be like a little garden section, but it would kind of make sense to put animals here instead. I'm not totally sure on which animals we would put there, but I don't want to do the same that we have over on the island, which is cows and sheep. So I guess that kind of leaves chickens and pigs. But before we do that, I would like to build the house. We've got copper, so at least that's one block of the palette. Let's go with a deep slate foundation. For the second floor, we'll use white wool and calcite, and for the roof trim, we will do dark oak. Alrighty, I've got my plan. Let's jump to a time lapse. And I am, again, super happy with how this one turned out. I think we've really nailed the cozy vibe with this. Looks really nice. And if we have a mosey on inside, it is completely empty. That's right. Again, kind of the same thing as we done over there. There's no real point of putting an interior in this thing until we at least get the villagers in there. But even then, I mean, there's not really much room to do anything else, right? We do also have a second floor, which for the time being, I'm going to keep empty until we need more villagers. But we can get the villagers in this floor and we can still make it look pretty. But we're not going to do the villagers straight away because I want to bring my attention to this section here, which I did say that I would like to use as a small animal area. But first of all, let's just sort this area down here because it's quite messy and the mud doesn't blend very well into the grass. So let's just fill this in with mud bricks and then we'll put a little bit of coaster in the middle here like that. Then how about we just run some fences along here? Alright, the only issue I've kind of got now though is I don't know how to put a fence gate on this thing. Tell you what, let's do it the old school way, shall we? And boom. There we go. A little bit silly, but does the job. And to be honest, I can't be bothered to use my brain to figure out a proper way to do that with fence gates. So the alternative works for me. And why don't we pop some nice big hay bales in the middle here, and then we can just dot a few nice flowers around and a bit extra short grass. And there you go. I think that is really cute. Alright, I've just grabbed some carrots so we can lead some pigs back down here, and let me just pick up some wheat seeds as well. There we go. That way we can get the chickens too. Oh, there we go. We got some pigs. Nice. Hey, we got 2 with me, gentlemen. Oh, hang on. 3. You know, I might as well get them all. Alright, this way, fellas. This way to your new home. There you go. Here's some carrots for your troubles. Alright, we've got the pigs in, but we do have 2 very good looking ladies here, so let's just get you girls over the fence and bada bing, bada bum. We got chickens. But now is the time to decide what villagers we want in this thing. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Shopping. That's a farmhouse. Surely you're going to have farmer villages in there, right? Well, that's a great assumption, but no, you're wrong. Because this is actually going to end up being one of the largest buildings we have. I think I'm just going to have my main enchantment guys in here. Like unbreaking, feather falling, you know, that good stuff. But you know what? This is probably all going to take a very long time. So I'll see you when it's done. Oh, sorry. Alright, so after a very long time, we have the library full of villagers now. So if we just take a look inside here, we don't really have too much room for decoration because these guys are taking up all the space. But we do have all of the good stuff like efficiency 5, we've got silk touch, unbreaking 3, one of the most important ones in hardcore, I think at least, feather falling 4, and of course we've got mending, plus some others. And you'll notice we do have a staircase going up, and this is kind of just the same design up here. I haven't filled all of these slots yet because I've kind of got all of the important ones that I need now. But on these guys, we've got stuff like sharpness 5, fortune 3, and protection 4. Another very important one. And you've probably noticed the prices are a little bit high. Yeah, I may have killed a few of them by accident. But you know what? That doesn't really matter. Between these guys with all the paper trades and those guys over there with all the stick trades, we have enough emeralds so that I don't even have to worry about prices. And now that I have all of these amazing enchantments, you're probably thinking that I'm going to get decked out as soon as possible. Well, no, actually I'm not. What I'm going to do instead is buy Luck of the Sea 3 and head back over to our island's fisherman shack, where I'm going to grab one of the very first fishing rods we ever had and get this baby enchanted. Because I have to admit, organising all of those villagers kind of took the energy out of me and I was feeling a little bit frustrated. So I think it's important in times like this to not get angry at the game and just do something relaxing instead. And after a nice evening fishing, I definitely felt refreshed. But it got me thinking, our villagers don't have a place of their own to fish. So I decided to build them a nice dock area on the outside of the village. Now I think we want to just make this out of stone, so I'm going to grab all of the stone we've got as well as some andesite variants and cobblestone as well. So what we're going to do is just come along to the end here. I would say about here is good. And the good thing about this is we don't really have to think too much about a shape because just like the wall, it has already kind of been outlined for us with the land. So what I think I'll do is just connect a stone block to each bit of dirt along here and we will bring it out by about 5. Yeah, I think this seems like a nice enough length to walk along. So yeah, I'm just going to repeat this for each one. And then what you'll find is when the land starts to curve, we'll get little bits that come out like this. And I think it's going to make a really nice shape as we go all the way along. So I'm going to get to work and I think this will be quite a quick job. And while this did take me longer than expected, I did eventually get a really nice dock that I was happy with, as well as some good fishing spots for the villagers and a few extra details. But as you can see, I've just dotted a load of good stuff around the dock area. We've got some bookshelves, we've got some full composters, we've got a beehive up there because it looks kind of cool. We've got a lectern here so the villagers can keep track of what is coming and going. But yeah, other than that, I've just kind of dotted some hay bales around and just try to make the area feel a little bit more alive, kind of like a load of deliveries have been dropped off or a load of stock from the village has been set to one side, ready to go off somewhere else. And I think this area is feeling really cool. But all in all, I would say the dock area is complete and I am very happy with how it turned out. And I've also put a little hanging sign outside the village here, but I'm going to leave that empty for now and we'll come back to it later. And you know what? I kind of forgot that we're running around in iron armor with no helmet on, which is a very silly idea in hardcore. So I think it's maybe a good time to upgrade this. How about instead of going digging for diamonds, we set up one of these buildings to have armor smiths in? That way we should be able to just trade for diamond armor every single time we want it, which to me sounds a lot easier. So I'm just kind of reminding myself what kind of builds I had planned for these little plots. And then this one by the entrance I think was going to be like a little bit of a guard tower. That's why we've got this little corner tower on the edge here like that. And I'm kind of thinking, you know, guard towers, armorer, they probably need to wear armor if they guard and everything. I mean, it's kind of a good fit. And if we just come on the inside of the plot, we do have a decent amount of room in here. The good thing about armorers is that we don't really need too many of them. Yeah, we could have maybe 4 or 5 just lined up around the outside, and that should cover us really. But of course we need to get it built first. And I think it should be a lot easier to build than all the rest of these. Alright, I've just laid the pallet out and I think we've got a nice selection there. And so I got to work on our new guard tower. And this one felt great to build because it was just so straightforward. But that was kind of the point. I don't know what it is about this thing, but I really like it. Put some little windows around the side here with fires and fence gates. Oh, and I also finally put those azalea bushes that we found earlier to good use. But yeah, I don't know, I just really like how the edges look on this thing. And we've got a decent amount of room in here, so we should be able to fit some villagers in, no problem. So I think it's about time we got our first armorer into our new guard tower, which means it is time to visit the pit. Hello, my friends. It's somebody's lucky day. Tell you what, you can hop on the track and off you go. Bye. Now, with my extensive search online, aka Google, I'm fairly sure that every single armorer will eventually trade a full set of diamond gear. So this guy should be all set. And off he goes. Alrighty, and that is all done. We got this guy in here, and I've leveled him all the way up to master, and look what he's selling. Diamond boots, leggings, chest plate, and helmets. Now these do already have enchantments on them, but I'm going to disenchant them, and then use our library over there to get the enchantments that we want. Alright, Iron Gear, you have served us very well, but your time is over. And look at that, we are dripped. Oh. Ignore all those helmets in the corner, that's what I was just using to level that guy up. I feel like we are making some real progress here. I haven't got too many emeralds left, so I'm going to wait a little bit before buying all the enchantments we need, but this is coming along so well. We do still have a little extra room in here for maybe 1 or 2 more villagers, and then I would say this building is complete. Okay, for this one, I just went with 1 extra guy. I decided on a weaponsmith. I just figured this guy would be a good way to get emeralds once we eventually set up an iron farm, and once he's master level, we should have some decent tools in there as well. But at 20 emeralds per 1 trade, this guy is way too expensive to level up right now. But for now, I'm going to call our guard tower complete. But there's actually something really cool that I want to show you in the library. So I've been using paper trades to get emeralds off these guys. And I forgot this happens with master librarians. So I've leveled this guy's trades up, and if we come all the way down to the bottom here, we have got name tags now. That is so good. The last time I got a name tag in episode 1, it took about 2 hours of fishing. So I'm going to go ahead and buy one of these because we have something very important that we need to do. As I mentioned in episode 1, I have an amazing dog in real life called Dell, and I wanted to name our Minecraft dog after him. And since we now have unlimited name tags and our very first anvil is in the world, I feel like now is the time to do so. And there we go. Hello Dell, welcome to my Minecraft world. Oh, he's such a good boy lying down like that. I am going to keep you here though, because if I take you on an adventure and you get blown up by a creeper, well, I'll never forgive myself. And you know what, while we're here, we may as well get some more food. But I'll be honest, I am getting a little bit sick of having to depend on cows for food. So how about we head back over to our village, which by the way is looking amazing, and then maybe we can sort out some trades for food. And I guess the best way to do that would be to have a bunch of farmers like this guy. So maybe because our original farmhouse got converted into a library, we can turn this building here into the actual farmhouse. I think you've heard me yapping about builds enough this episode though, so let's just jump into a time lapse and get this one done. And I couldn't be happier with how this one has turned out. Quite easily, my favourite build of the whole village so far. I really like the dark oak trim around the roofline, and the oak trapdoors just look really cosy as well with the little azalea leaves underneath them. We've got a cute little overhang here at the front too, and then round the side we've got this lean-to, which once I've cleaned this area up towards the end, we'll get some nice things put down here and maybe even a little farming area there. But then of course we have also got the windmill, and I wanted to keep it super simple. I know we've got a windmill over there, which has a lot lot more detail, so I'm quite happy to just leave this the way it is. But then of course we've got that peak tower on top of the windmill, which looks great. But of course this thing does have an interior, so let us take a look. I did go for a similar layout with the villagers. I find that this just looks really smart and gets the job done. It holds the villagers in place, they can't really jump out there, and it gives us plenty of room to just walk up and talk to them. Now on the left of the house here we had a little bit of extra room, so I just installed a little kitchen because, you know, these guys are selling a lot of food, so it kind of makes sense to me to just have some storage up there. Some nice food dotted about the kitchen top, and we got a smoker as well. But if we come over to the farmers, you can see that they are all fully maxed out to master farmer level. Same with this guy and same with this guy. And that is so we could get these bad boys, the golden carrots. I'm just going to grab some emeralds out of our chest here, and then I think we can just go ahead and buy some. And just like that, we've got 42 golden carrots already. And if you didn't know, golden carrots are probably the best food in the game because they keep you fuller for longer. So yeah, could not be happier with this one. Like I said, probably my favorite build of the whole village, which is kind of saying a lot because we have some beautiful builds here. But for our next job, I think I want to bring my attention to these sections here in the middle. I think I've already mentioned by now that I want to make market stands in the center of the village, just to kind of add that extra bit of life, especially when you're walking through this main entrance here. I want like a nice section there that you can just see straight away. And what we'll do is get villagers to stay on the inside of the market stalls, so that way they just kind of look like traders to anybody visiting the village. And as usual, I'm just going to knock all of the corners out and place some lovely barrels there. And we really don't want to complicate these middle sections too much either. So how about we just do something nice and easy, like a stair, and a trapdoor. I think that looks nice. And we've got a bit of a longer section here, so I'll tell you what, we'll just double up on the trapdoors. And again, let's just keep things nice and simple here on the corners and just build up with some granite and spruce. But now that we've got the general shape and height in, it's time we actually put a roof on this thing. And I've grabbed some bamboo mosaic slabs and spruce slabs for this. So what I'm going to do is place one there, and we'll bring it along. And then what we can do is just connect these up like that. And that gives us a really nice shape. Then we can just grab the spruce slabs, bring it along like this, and you can see what I'm going for. All we would do is just repeat them along and get a nice little pattern like this. Okay, so this is looking really nice, but how about we take it one step further? What we can do is add some banners just like that, and then on all of these gaps along the top, how about we add some hanging bamboo signs? These things are definitely on the expensive side with the amount of chains we have to use for it, but I do think it's worth it. Look at that. I'm going to quickly create these other two. It'll just be the same thing as this, but with some different color variations, and then we'll get right to decorating and maybe moving some villages in too. And this was super refreshing as they were such a breeze to build, but even though they're quite simple, they transform the area in a really brilliant way. I then went round adding a load of details, and for the final touches, got villagers inside of the stalls. Okay, maybe this is my favorite part of the village now, but let's just do a quick recap of what we've got done here. Of course, I built the 3 market stalls. Now, something I wasn't super keen on doing was adding these spruce fence gates along the side here, but that was the only way I could think of keeping the villagers in without disturbing all of these signs at the top here as well. But to be honest, I don't really think it looks too bad. Kinda makes the whole stalls a bit more sturdy looking, doesn't it? But I just dotted some pretty things around like plants and lanterns, and of course we did get a few villagers in here too. Now I'm hoping they don't know how to open trapdoors. I don't think they do, otherwise it probably would have happened by now. So hopefully everybody stays where they are. I do have a little lonely guy over here too on his own, but he seems happy enough. I do really like all the colour combinations as well. I think it just adds a nice bit of variety into the area, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think at some point as well I may even put some item frames down, and perhaps we can put some items inside of those, but for now I'm quite happy the way it is. Then coming away from the market stalls a little bit, we've just got a few extra details, nothing much. We've got the classic design with logs and rails, just to make it look like they've kind of been tied down to the ground so they don't roll off, if squares can roll. But yeah. And I've also added some dried kelp blocks. Kind of looks like little packages with ties on them. Super underrated decorative block. Definitely recommend using these if you don't already. And I did put this little cart in here with some hay bales on top. But around the back of that, we've just got a nice little double chest. And all in all, I think this looks great. I feel like it just creates a nice little town square. And it just looks so nice from on top of this hill too. But as complete as this thing is looking, we are still not done. We have this house here to build. And I've been thinking, I don't really have any more villagers that I want to trade with. We've got all of our food supplies in here. We've got all of our weapon and armor enchantments in there. We've got our toolsmiths in that one. Got some nice stick trades over there for currency. And right now, there's kind of just nothing else that I need. I'm sure there will be at some point, but right now I'm kind of set. So call me a little bit greedy, but I am going to make this house for myself. I know I've got a big house over there and it's lovely and we really like it, but I feel like if I'm going to be traveling through this village a lot, I kind of want a place to rest. There's not many beds lying around here, so it'd be nice to have a place to call my own, and maybe maybe as we branch out in the world, it'll be a good place to just store some items as a nice little checkpoint when moving through the land. And personally, I think that just sounds really cool, to have multiple little bases scattered through the world that we can call our own. So for the final time of the episode, let's jump into another time lapse. And that is the final building, finally complete. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have other things to do in the village, but I would say doing the last structure is definitely a milestone. Actually, you know what? It's kind of hard to get a good view of it here because we can't move too far back for the hill. So if we just pop into free cam for a second, we can get a much better look at it from here. I am really happy with how this one turned out. I know I say that about everything, but this one definitely suits the cozy village aesthetic. I like how I've got a bit of greenery on there, lots of oak trapdoors, which I love, plenty windows, nice simple roof, and I've actually got copper in the roof on this one as well, which I think looks really nice. But yeah, we've also got the little curved roofs on the side here too, which I think make a big difference. And all in all, yeah, pretty good. And if we take a mosey on inside, we will see that it's mainly storage. Like I said, I kind of want this house to be a little stopgap if I'm moving through the world, so it kind of needs to be functional over pretty, although it's a bit of both. But we do have the nice storage area in the middle. We got a triple king size deluxe bed in the corner here. Then over on this side, we've just got a crafting bench, furnace, and a smoker for whatever we're doing. So yeah, nice and simple, but like I said, functional. So that's going to come in really handy. But now that we've got both houses up here, we've got this large grass area to sort out. We've got a big patch around the side here as well, just to the right. And I'm kind of just thinking of planting some crop fields here and there. So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. So I've just head back over to our farming island. That way I can just grab a load of carrots, and I'll also grab a bunch of potatoes. And I'm just going to pop into our house and grab a load of bone meal, because I want to grow these crop fields without water. Now I think as long as you plant something without water, the farmland won't just bounce back into dirt. I'm hoping we can just bone meal this like that, and then yeah, hopefully the crop should just stay like that, and then I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens. But nothing's popped out yet, so that's probably a good sign. But either way, I think this thing looks pretty cool, and I did bring all the bone meal because I'm pretty sure this won't grow on its own, not without the water anywhere, or if it does, it's going to be extremely slow. Okay, yeah, that one long row looks pretty cool. So I'm going to start some new rows. I'll maybe do one here, and let's say one from there. Okay, I'm going to get all this planted, and I will be back in a sec. I am really liking this. It looks super cozy, and it does fill the gap in very nicely. So what I think I'm going to do is just grab some decoration blocks, like maybe coaster, a load of flowers, then we'll get the edge of this all filled in nicely. And there we go, that is much better. So I just ran some coaster along the edge here, put a bunch of flowers on it, as well as these little cherry blossom biome thingies. I don't know what these are called, but I really like them. Then I've just added a bunch of grass around the back of the houses to fill in the blank spots on the grass. And of course we have the path running all the way along the middle, connecting the two houses. Oh, and the bees are happy. Look at him, he's so cute. But this has completely transformed the area up top here. I think we've done really well. But the next step I'm going to do may be one of the most painful ones. I want to get all of our villagers out of the pit from underground and release them into the village to live their own little happy lives. Okay, I'm going to dismantle this villager breeder, then we'll get the wall all patched up and release the prisoners out of the pit. And that is the wall just about done. Now we just need to think of a stress-free way to get these villagers out of the pit and into the village. So I think the best way to do that would just be to create a small tunnel. Then we can just put a little hole in the wall here, and hopefully this should just walk straight on over. Alright, let's test this theory. Alright everyone, you are officially free. No, really, yeah, you're free to go. No tricks, just a free ticket out of here. Alright, come on gents, one at a time. There you go. And we officially have a village full of villagers. Look at this. He's literally jumping for joy. Oh, this is actually really cool. This place feels so alive now. Not gonna lie, the noises are kind of irritating, but we can forget about that. As long as our villagers are happy, we're happy. What the hell is going on in here? Whatever, okay, you guys just you guys enjoy yourselves. It's your life. Since you've stuck with me through the whole episode, I want you to give your suggestions to name this village, and I'll pick the best in the next episode. And just to finish up, I added a few extra details to fill in some empty spots. And our village is finally complete. I'm going to walk around and take it all in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.